Hello, it's John here for another 850 tutorial. In this tutorial we are going to be recreating a sort of visual effect that I saw in a Persona 5 game again. I'm sort of doing another video inspired by that, purely because, not just because I think the game's really good, but I've also done another video on there of the flashing, the pulsating speech bubble, so go back and check that one out if you're interested in that kind of style. But the reason I chose to do this one is because it's a cool effect that's really underutilized, and you don't need to have seen the game. You don't need to have played the game, because I still think it's worth learning, because it goes through a lot of different techniques, uses a lot of different processes, and we're going to just work through that together. So let's jump straight in and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is sort of create a chalkboard, and I'm going to do that by just, in Max, I'm going to just drag a box down, and this will be my chalkboard. Let's go to edge faces, and you know what? I think we're going to want 3 of each. Cool. And then let's convert this to an editable poly. I know we shouldn't be using the right click because it's not best practice, but it'll be fine for this. Drag these guys, bring them down. This is going to be the rim of the chalkboard. Now, I don't think it's particularly 100% accurate. I don't think it particularly matters too much. And let's just extrude you in. This is going to be the inner workings of the chalkboard. Cool. Oops. Yeah, that'll do loosely. Doesn't have to be anything special. Well, I suppose it can be if you want it to be. But for us, this will sort of do. And what we're going to do is we're going to drop and unwrap UV on there, open up our UV editor, and we are going to want to try and find this face here. So I mean, let's do this quickly and just Control A and try flatten mapping. That's not too bad. What face is what? That's a rear face, and that's a bottom face. Let's see what results we'll get real quick from. Try normal mapping. Nope. Unfold mapping. Nope, that's messy. Cool, back to normal. Let's just stick with fire mapping. It'll do. It won't because I've not got everything selected. Let's try a quick peel. So that's on the front too. No, just trying out the different mapping styles. See if we could save ourselves some time. But we'll just work with flat mapping. That'll do. Because we have this one right here. This is going to be our main thing. So let's just full screen you a sec. Pull you over here. Get all of you. We don't really care about you. This is just going to be just generic sort of wood texture. Move you out of the way over here. Bring you back up. And let's scale you back up. Because this is where our details sort of going to be. This is where we want our effect to go on the chalkboard. We sort of want our writing to appear effects on chalkboard. So let's render that out. And let's do it at 512. Because we're going to have a couple of sprites going on in this. Cool. Save. And we'll just put this chalk UV and save as a PNG. Cool. Save and save. Alright, so we've sort of done with Max real quick for there. So let's jump across into Sketchbook, or you can use Photoshop, doesn't really matter. I guess it's just going to come down to personal preference. And what I've got here is just a generic quick wood texture that I took of some plywood that I had laying around for some reason. I'm going to make this into a sort of chalkboard. I'm going to grayscale it and adjust hue and saturation. And then brightness and contrast. Until it sort of looks all loosely chalkboardy. Yeah, that'll do. That looks chalkboardy enough for me. Okay, so we've got our chalkboard. And what we want to do next, this is where we're going to create our series of sprites, almost our first type of sprites. And what we're going to do is we want to get like a chalkboard sort of pencil. So we've got we could use like a charcoal. That'd be quite good, but this is don't want to go fully white. And I've just got steady stroke on just because I'm using a mouse. And let's try it. It's too big. Let me zoom in a bit. And bring you up a bit more. This would be a lot easier if I had a graphics tab. Cool. So let's start. Let me just tweak this, actually change it a little bit. Make sure it's centerized. Drop it in size. About there. That's cool. I'm going to duplicate it as well, see how that looks. That looks a lot better. Merge those together. So this is going to be the main text. So this is going to come onto the screen from the left hand side, appear here, then sort of get rubbed out. So what we want to do is we've got this, and we can call it full, because it's the full part. Let's duplicate the layer. And again, just do the same thing in Photoshop. You want to find your smudge tool. And I do think these sketchbook smudge tools serve a lot better for creating that sort of effect that we want. And they've got a whole bunch of different smudge brushes that are going to sort of give you different outcomes. So it's going to be a case of finding the brush that's going to give you the best sort of effect that you want. I'm going to just use the first one and pull up the flow bit or the strength. And on this one, hide the background, we sort of want to create this sort of effect. So this is going to be sort of sprite 1. So sprite, swipe up. Now we're going to duplicate it again. And this is going to be sort of sprite down. and duplicate one more time, and this one's going to be the final part. And again, if that's not sort of enough for you, you can always go back and add a bit more to it. So if I find my initial chalk, not soft pastel, what was it that I was using? I think it was charcoal. You can always, like I say, add a bit more sort of weight to it around there. And I'm going to do the same on this first one as well. So that way we'll get more of a colour. Yeah, I need to double click you. So cool, so we now have 1, 2, 3. And what we need to do is make sure that the parts we don't need over here are sort of deleted. So let's just quickly erase those. Oops. Awesome, so those are our layers. We have full and all of them. So let's save this as a PSD. Okay, so now we've saved our PSD, we're ready to go to After Effects and put it all together. So what we're going to do is create a new composition, and it's going to want to be 512 by 512, because this is what we export our UVs out. Make sure your frame rate is quite low. I probably recommend maybe about 15. Let's try 15, and the whole thing, let's say to 1 second. You know what? 1.5 seconds. Because we do want this to be done quite quick, because otherwise when we create a sprite sheet of this later on, it's going to be huge. So import what we just created. We're going to import this, and we're going to import this composition. And our chalk UV. And let's drop our chalk UV on here. Cool. So this right here is our chalk UV. As we can see, the green areas, this is where the main action is going to take place. So we need to find our chalk board, which I believe is this one. And I'm going to drag it into place. You are huge. So we've got our chalk into place. We're going to just drag you underneath for now so we can see where you are. Oh, we're going to need some wood. And I've got a pretty terrible wood texture here, which will sort of just have to do. We'll just put it loosely everywhere, I guess. So this is probably going to, the wood texture is probably going to be quite ugly. I'm probably going to regret my decisions there. But I don't have another wood texture at hand right now. And next we are going to want to set up the text. which we probably should have made the size. So let's find what's a good size. 33? 33? Yeah, 33 looks okay. 33%. Alright, so I'm going to press P, bring up my position. That's going to be my sort of 1 second mark. Why is my animation 3 seconds? So I told it to be 1.3. Apparently it doesn't like 1.3. Then be 2 seconds, and we'll deal with that later. So about here, and at this point you want to be off here. Now let's press play. Cool. Looking alright, I might bring that in a touch. And then at this point we want to set up our sprites. They'll want to be 33%. Cool. And they loosely want to be in place, which is about here. About there. Yeah, about there. Maybe a bit more about here. No. Should have made them a bit bigger. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And we want these to appear one after the other. So start about there, then go like this. That's alright. It's not too bad. And we're not quite done there yet. What I'd like to do is sort of mask my chalkboard as this is happening. So let me zoom in on the text, grab my pen tool, so have you find the mask, and we're going to turn on keyframing for the mask path. So it's fine that at this point you want to come in about there and there. And you want to come in, oops. And let's put a little bit of feathering on it. Cool, let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks alright. That'll do. We need to make sure actually on our position for this that we've got at least a frame if normal. And then bring you down to about here. Cool. Alright, let's turn off our UVs. And for the sake of test, let's export this layer out, this frame. Save frame as a file. And we'll just call it UV test. And I'm going to save as a PNG. Cool, let's go into Max, hide you, M for material editor. drag you on, and yeah. Oops. Cool, so there we go, we've textured that up. That's looking all good already. Let's export this out as an FBX. In fact, we'll export it out as an OBJ. Done and done. Cool. Close this. We're done with you. Go back to After Effects. Alright, and this point is the point where we want to create a sprite sheet out of these. Okay, so you can use online and export it with your PNGs, or if you've got a shooter, which is what I'm going to do now, I'm going to save this as a sprite sheet. Cool, so that's our sprite sheet. We might have got one too many frames. We might have to address that later. Okay, so I've got Unreal open now, and let's try and throw it all together. Just make sure this is working. Yep, cool, it's working. And what we want to do is we want to import our things. Which I think I just saved all to the desktop. And we want our sprite sheet. Cool, so we've got our sprite sheet as well, but like I said earlier, it might cause us problems because it's kind of huge, but let's just continue anyway. So this is our chalkboard. Let's just scale it up. Rotate it. Let's go into our material editor. What are you doing all over here? Right, and let's bring in our sprite sheet. Now let's give this a sec to sort of figure itself out. Cool. Line you up to here. You're a flipbook. Oops. Cool. And let's continue with this. And how many rows and numbers do we have? Let's have a quick look. One, two, three, four, 5 columns. So set you to 5. And how many rows? No, sorry, it's 5 rows, isn't it? No, 5 columns. Columns is down, rows is across. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 6 down. Six rows, 5 columns. Cool. Looking pretty good, right? Let's see how it looks on the object. Nice. There we go. We have created the chalkboard effect from Persona. And like I said at the start of this tutorial, we cover a lot of different things. We cover a lot of different processes using Max to create the object. I then create the texture, so the text sprites in Sketchbook. You could have probably done anything else. We went to After Effects, created that sprite sheet, used Sheeter to export it. If you've not got Sheeter, you could use, again, like something more web-based. And then we brought it into After Effects, pulled it all together, and there we go, looking pretty good. Pulled it together using just a very simple flipbook setup, bringing a texture, getting your flipbook, rows and columns, done. If you like what we're doing here, don't forget to support this content on Patreon. So, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.